Good morning. Oh my goodness, I just noticed a horrible mess in the background. I just got finished taking my shower, as you can tell. I thought I'd put on my makeup, get ready with y'all, and talk about, I've got my iPad here because I wanted to chat about sunscreen usage according to the different generations because I find this fascinating, like statistics. Of which generation is most likely to use sunscreen and which ones are not and why. I thought we'd talk about that. I felt really bad for not having a video ready for y'all on Tuesday. Before I talk about all that, I know it's going to take people a little while to jump on, so I'll probably have to show this again, but I'm wearing the Round Lab 1025 Dokdo sunscreen that I got from Yes, I've already applied that one on. Review coming soon. By the time we get ready together and chat, if you're here, let me know you're here because I don't know who's gonna watch this morning. But I felt so bad not having a video ready for you guys on Wednesday. I knew it was finally going to happen that, I broke my ankle August 9th. I just started walking in a boot 2 weeks ago. And when I broke my ankle, thankfully I had 2 weeks of videos already ready to go. But as the weeks have gone along, it has been really hard. Like I've been editing a video the night before it goes. And then this week, Monday's video, I was editing the day of before I posted it. And so Wednesday, I was like, I can't, I was bound to fall behind. So I'm doing a live stream because I felt bad. If you're watching the replay of the live stream, hi. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Sean, melanoma mom. I am a melanoma skin cancer survivor. There's a scar. I had melanoma stage 1 back in 2021, January 2021. And then I had it removed, I think, in February of 2021 with a wide local excision. But let's chat about sunscreen. And can I see who's chatting? I have no idea. Can I see who's on? 49-second short was uploaded to your channel as unlisted. Don't know what that means. It's been a long time since I have done a live stream, and they have majorly changed things around. Chat filter. Chat filter? I want to see all the messages. If you guys are messaging me, let me know you're watching. We're gonna get trolls in here, and I'm just gonna ignore the trolls because I did it on the vertical. I've seen other YouTubers who go live in vertical, and you just get random trolls. Go to school. Those of you who are not in school, you need to be in school right now. All right, so I got my foundation on, I got my sunscreen on. Let's talk about the different generations using sunscreen. Okay, I wanted to start with Gen Z. Is Gen Z using sunscreen? Let's see, Gen Z. It says there's a higher usage. Gen Z is the most likely to use SPF and the most concerned about skin health and anti-aging. I find that very hopeful for this new generation. I feel like those of us who have had melanoma, we have kids that are in the Gen Z. I know I do. I have a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old. And hold on, I'm trying to find stuff as I talk. And because they see me put sunscreen on, they're more likely to put sunscreen on and do sun protection. All right, so say hi and tell me where you're watching from. It also says, let's see here, about 1/3 of Gen Z reportedly wears body sunscreen and facial sunscreen daily. But this number can be as low as 37% according to other sources due to confusion from social media. All right, so they're saying the higher usage of sunscreen for Gen Z is 34 to 37%. Y'all, that's low. So I just got to today and that was high for Gen Z, but that's low. Oh my goodness. Due to confusion from social media. I see it. I see the confusion. I see people saying that you need to not wear sunscreen because it blocks from vitamin D. Vitamin D is important. Don't get me wrong. I take a vitamin D supplement, but you only need, vitamin D can get through your skin according to the research. Of course, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a skincare chemist. I'm just a melanoma survivor who does her own research. According to the research that I have read, vitamin D still goes through the sunscreen. So there's just misinformation that sunscreen blocks everything out. You know, an SPF of 50 blocks, I think it's 98%. So you're still getting UV rays, vitamin D through your sunscreen. So there's also, I think, tanning culture here in the United States. Tanning culture is so big. I am in the South. I'm in South Carolina, and tanning culture, and those who can afford fake tans to go to, like, you know, a place that fake tans your whole body, I can't afford that. They do that. But those who are lower economically just go out and tan through the sun. And tan is a social status in the South, I feel like, still. Excuse me, why did I burp? I never burp. Hi, I'm so glad. State of head, okay. So happy to catch a live. Yes, I'm glad you did too. Welcome. I felt really bad about not posting a video on Wednesday. Oh, my nose is running. I've got major allergies today. Okay, so we were talking about Gen Z and the culture, especially in the South, and the disinformation on social media about sunscreen. Why is there this rhetoric that sunscreen causes cancer when those studies, I've looked at those studies, and they don't test a wide variety of people. Two, sunscreen does, the studies I read, the legit ones, the sunscreen does get into your bloodstream. It's very minimal, but it's not harmful, you know? And so you also have to weigh the risks. Are you willing to risk getting melanoma skin cancer, which causes death oftentimes, at the worst? At the very least, I just had stage 1. I had a huge chunk out of my arm. It took me over a month to recover. Major Frankenstein stitches. I had to have the nerve block. Cost a butt ton of money. So that's at the very least. And if you get it on your face, you end up with big scars on your face. Anyways, so you've got to weigh your risk, right? All right, what's another Gen Z statistic here? Despite Gen Z's higher usage of sunscreen, some studies show a significant portion of Gen Z is indifferent or less likely to use sunscreen unless prompted due to misinformation and myths spread online. I mean, it's because they're young. Gen Z is young, right? We have to remind Gen Z to wear sunscreen. Okay, that sounds totally reasonable to me. Okay, let's move on to Millennials and Gen X, which is considered the middle generations. Now, I'm an older millennial. I was born in 1980. Hello. Hey, everybody. I was born in 1980. Okay, so it says lower daily use of sunscreen for millennials and Gen X. They're less likely to use sunscreen daily compared to Gen Z, with about a fifth of Gen X using body sunscreen daily at 23% and an even smaller percentage using facial sunscreen daily at 18%. Yeah, it's because the generation we grew up in, as kids, we were told, go outside, go play, go outside and play. And so we did. And the sunscreens weren't that great when we were young. They didn't have, I don't even think they had the UV, the cancer-causing blocking filters. I think they just had the anti-burn filters. Don't quote me on that. So, and our parents, our moms didn't know better, right? My mom had, love her to death, she had one bottle of sunscreen that we only used on vacation at the beach for 3 kids. And oftentimes for that week-long vacation, we didn't use it all. And so she'd bring it out again the next year. And she would always say, just use a small amount because we need this to last the whole week for all 3 of you kids. And now we know, right, that sunscreen is dose dependent. And so the Skin Cancer Foundation recommendation is a nickel-sized dollop for your face, which works out to be about 1/4 teaspoon just for your face, and then an additional 1/4 teaspoon for your ears and your neck. But our parents didn't know that. That information wasn't available. And so we were conditioned through our childhood, through our teenage years, that burning in the sun was healthy, getting sun poisoning was healthy, as much sun as possible was healthy. And then surprise, surprise, most of us end up with some kind of skin cancers earlier and earlier, like me. Okay, what am I gonna put on my face next? Let's see here. I've done the concealer. Oh, I hate putting eyebrows on camera. All right, we're gonna turn it slightly this way, and I'm gonna look into the big mirror and try and talk at the same time. No, sunscreens do not have cancer-causing ingredients, Hunter Guy. That's misinformation. I'm a melanoma skin cancer survivor. I did not wear sunscreen, and guess what happened? Melanoma, okay, stage 1. Sunscreen is dose dependent. It's like any medication, right? If you take the proper dosage, it protects against the UV filters. You're getting the wrong information. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it how it is. That's just how it is. You've been misinformed. I'm sorry to tell you. And then so some people will say, well, I never wore sunscreen and I didn't get skin cancer, like my mother, okay? So she loved to burn to the point of sun poisoning. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm using you as an example. And she's never had skin cancer, okay? Everybody's skin is different. Everybody's skin can handle different amounts of UV exposure. And so that's why some people don't get skin cancer. And a lot of people don't get it until later in life. My dad gets a lot of basal cell carcinomas on his face. He has fairer hair tone. He has light green eyes. He was a Marine. He was outside. He served in Vietnam. They didn't wear sunscreen. And so now he's dealing with all those effects of skin cancer. So, you can't just say what works for one person, what am I trying to say? It's hard for me to talk while doing eyebrows. These are going to be distant cousin eyebrows, not even close cousins. Oh, geez. Why am I even attempting this on camera? I don't even know, because my eyebrows have to be done. I do have videos to film later today. All right, so let's see here. Let me get back in my iPad. Okay, so we're talking about middle generations, Millennials and Gen X. I'm a millennial. Sun regret. Many in these generations express regret for not using sunscreen more often when they were younger. Yes, but it's not totally our fault. It's our parents' fault. No, it's not always our parents' fault either. I feel like now if you are a millennial and you have kids, if you're a Gen X and you have kids and your kids end up getting skin cancer later in life, and then yes, that could partially be your fault. I was told by my dermatologist, and I've had several over the years because we move frequently, that the majority of skin cancers are caused by burns we had in our childhood, which is interesting, right? When we are not responsible for putting on our sunscreens. All right, high non-use. About 30% of Gen X surveyed by a company called Practical Dermatology reported never using sunscreen. And again, I think that's a generational thing. I think it's a cultural thing. And now people know better, right? Not all people. Most people know better and are trying to remedy that. I did not wear enough sunscreen prior to 2021 and having my melanoma skin cancer. I was one of those people. Oh, a little bit goes a long way. Oh, I only need to put it on the beginning of the day and I don't need to reapply it. And I still have friends and family who will say, they'll say, what sunscreen do you recommend is usually their first question. And then they'll usually ask, well, they won't even ask. They won't even know to ask how often to apply it or how much to apply it, because they're just thinking it doesn't matter how much you apply of a sunscreen, that it's gonna work at the SPF on the bottle, and that it's gonna work all day long. And that's just not how sunscreen works, unfortunately. And until there's better education about sunscreen and more influencers talking about it, I think this will continue. People will continue to be misinformed about sunscreen. Okay, let's talk about baby boomers, but I'm gonna put baby boomers and their sunscreen usage, but I'm gonna put on my eyeliner first, y'all. Sorry, let me turn the camera back this way. I definitely can't talk. If you watch a future video and my makeup is wonky, this is why. The sunscreen I am wearing today is this one, and I'm gonna film this review video later today, this morning, and then hopefully it'll be out next week. This is the Round Lab 1025 Dope Dough sunscreen. All right, before I put on my mascara, hello everybody. So glad to see you this morning. Okay, baby boomers. Lowest usage. Older groups are the most likely to say they never use SPF. So they didn't grow up with it, right? Baby boomers, they didn't have sunscreen. Sunscreen was just being developed. However, I feel like baby boomers, which is my parents' generation, as children, they were pretty covered up, right? That was the culture. Swimsuits we didn't start having bikinis and smaller swimsuits until that generation was teenagers, right? As children, I feel like they were more covered up. I could be wrong. And so probably didn't get as much of the UV. And so that's probably why we're seeing the older generations getting skin cancers older, like in their 70s and 80s usually, late 60s. But typically I feel like it's 70s and 80s when they get, yeah, because 60s we're getting closer to Gen Z, 50s and 60s, right? I'm not Gen Z, Gen X. I could be wrong. I'm a millennial, an older millennial. Yeah, but the thing of it is they still don't wear sunscreen. They will get skin cancers on their face, skin cancers on their body, and it still doesn't click that sunscreen would protect against that, because they've been so taught and grown up with the idea that any amount of sun is healthy, right? Any amount, and that we don't need to seek shade. We don't need to wear UPF clothing. We don't need to wear a hat. Even as simple as to maybe not be in full sun, you know, from 10 to 2 in that heat of the sun with a tank top and fully exposed. That generation is still thinking that any amount of sun exposure is healthy, and that's just not the case. Okay, I'm gonna do this very carefully. Now again, I am not a medical professional. I'm not a dermatologist. Take what I say with a grain of salt, okay? I am not a skincare chemist. I am just a melanoma skin cancer survivor. I started this channel in the spring of 2021 after going through melanoma skin cancer surgery, because I realized I know nothing about sunscreen and I know nothing about preventing myself from having future melanomas, because once you have one, the odds are pretty significantly high that you'll have others. And best way to do that is start a channel. And I've learned so much from my audience. I've learned so much from Lab Muffin Beauty Science Michelle. I've learned a lot from Glow by Ramon. He's a skincare chemist. I've learned from Dr. Julian Sass. Anytime I see research papers, I read those. Do I understand all of the language? No, because I'm not a scientist. But I do read them. I don't always depend on summaries of those, because it's important for us to read. It's important to see like how many people were actually tested upon. Okay. One thing I learned from Dr. Julian Sass is it's fascinating where people who have had not liposuction, what is it where they cut the extra fat off your stomach? There's a medical term for that, where they take the extra skin off your stomach. Skincare products are often tested on that skin because it's still alive. So there's like a window of so many days after it's cut off of a person's body that skin is still technically considered living. And so they test products on that. I love that. Okay, that was random factoid. All right, so baby boomers, lower awareness. Some studies indicate older generations are less aware of sunscreen benefits compared to younger generations. 100%. Because of how they've been taught. I need some blush. How they've been taught, how they've grown up. The culture here in the South. A lot of older people think, well, I've never worn sunscreen my entire life. Why would I need to wear it now? And yet they're sitting with skin cancer on their face, on their chest, on their shoulders, and they just keep going to get it removed because those are slower growing typically than melanoma, which is can be pretty fast growing. And even though we've come a long way in melanoma treatments, there's still a long way to go. Less people are dying from melanoma. If it's caught early, your chance of survival is higher than if you're caught with like a stage 4. Now, I do have a friend who recently went through stage 4. He was a runner and a doctor. And he got it on his ear. He lost the majority of his ear. He had stage 4. He did the radiation. He did the immunotherapy. He did everything. He beat melanoma skin cancer. But it took years and tons of money. You know, a lot of people think, well, you can just cut skin cancers off. It's not that big of a deal. But they're not thinking about the financial cost of all of that. It cost, just for this, I spent out of our own family pocket, $10,000. I spent our deductible. That was at the beginning of the year. I had that surgery at the beginning of 2021. All right, let's see here. Cross-generational issues. So across Gen Z, across millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, the perceived risk. Many people, about 58% of all generations, are concerned about skin cancer, but this doesn't always translate to consistent sunscreen use. And I don't think it will unless the crap is scared out of you, you know, unless you're so scared to not get it again. Like, I don't want melanoma skin cancer. That's why I religiously wear it every day. Even if I'm not going outside, I've built up a habit of putting it on. Yes, Hunter Guy, benzene is a contaminant. You're correct. Most of those labs, they test frequently of the sunscreens. It hasn't been found in everything. It's also been found in spray deodorants, not this exact one, but some spray deodorants, benzene is also a contaminant. So it's not, sunscreen itself is not formulated with any carcinogens, 0 carcinogens in the sunscreen. But in the process of things, sometimes contaminants is a byproduct, right, of other skincares, not just sunscreen. And because these companies test frequently, they usually catch it early. The FDA typically does not have to issue, here in the United States, doesn't have to issue a recall. Typically those brands recall on their own. And those benzene levels still test at a low level, a low risk to us humans, but it's higher than what they want the levels to be at, right? So they pull it off the shelves before and they send out the alert. So, I will look into that lab that you're talking about, Valashore in 2021. I will look for that. Thank you. But yes, let's see here. Again, everything is dose dependable, right? So a certain level of chemicals in our body, whatever we use, whatever skincare products we put on our face, right? We're putting chemicals on our skin. It's dose dependent. Sunscreen here in the United States is considered a medication. And so everything is more regulated than your regular skincare. It's more regulated than your body lotions, than your face wash, than the soap you put on your body. People who make natural products, right? If you go to a craft fair, which I love like a fall festival this time of year, and you see people making their own sunscreens, those have 0 regulation, 0 testing. But a lot of people will pick those up thinking they're safer because somebody made them in their kitchen at home. And They're not safer. This has nothing to do with skincare, and everything to do with food. But I went to a fall festival and bought, it was like this cake in jars that somebody was selling. It looked so good. It was like a brownie and caramel chocolate cake with some pudding or something in it in a little jar that this person was making at home and selling. And so I bought one of those because I love supporting local businesses, local small businesses. I went home and I ate 3 or 4 bites of that, and I was like, something's off. That night I had food poisoning, passed out on the floor. I won't give you all the gruesome details, but it was coming out both ends. My husband found me on the floor. Poor husband had to clean up after me. I was so sick. So that kind of goes with everything that's made at fall festivals and small businesses in general, is they're not regulated. So if you ever see a sunscreen and someone says they've made it at home and they're trying to sell it to you, do not buy it. Don't buy it. It's not regulated. There's no testing done on it. So don't do that. Okay. Again, my opinion, grain of salt. I know y'all do your own research, but look for more than just one source. Look at multiple sources. Don't just look at YouTubers like myself or bloggers. Also double check where they get their information from. In my regular videos, I link videos underneath. Obviously, I did not do that for this live stream. But I do trust, like I said, I do trust Lab Muffin Beauty Science. Michelle, I feel like she is a trustworthy channel. Glow by Ramon. I'm not sure if that's the exact name he goes by on YouTube, because I know he's on TikTok, he's on YouTube, he's on Instagram. He's a skincare scientist, chemist. I trust his opinion. And then Dr. Julian Sass, I trust his opinion. He's not a skincare chemist, but he does have a degree in skincare. He's actually from North Carolina, not too far from me. I think he's working in Canada right now. He works with a lot of brands. He's gained a lot of knowledge. He's really good for like skin tone. He tests a lot of products out for skin tone, and he has random knowledge like that, how skincare products are tested on tummy skin removal. So I like that. Okay, I think, are we done? We might be done. Did you guys have any questions? Again, thank you guys for popping on. I wasn't planning on getting on live, but like I said, I felt bad for not posting my regular Wednesday video. I have sunscreen videos to film today for you guys next week, so hopefully I'll have a video next week. If you are a member of the channel, so to become a member, it's $2.99 USD a month, and you get at least one additional video every month from me. Sometimes you get 2. You also get posts. You also get short videos occasionally. And they're usually like something more personal that I talk about in my members only. There should be information in the description box of this video on how to do that. But I do have a members only video coming out on Friday. So that one's fun. Anybody have... Let's see here. Any questions? I will go back. Yeah, there's always trolls. Apologies for trolls in the comment section. Go to school. You should be in school today. It's usually 14, 15-year-old boys. Leave comments. Okay. Well, then I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys so much for popping on. I hope you have a fabulous day. And thanks for those of you who watch the replay.